If you are looking for the most budget-friendly remap kit for your PlayStation 5 controller, you are in the right place. Today, I'll be doing a quick review of Tomsin's back pedals that you can install on your PS5. Remap mods allow you to program these back buttons with any other button that you see on your controller. So for example, if you're playing a shooting game like Battlefield, Destiny 2, or even GTA, where you'd have to press down on the trigger for one shot, you can remap this trigger on one of the remap buttons so you can click with one short click and it's gonna achieve the same result in the game. So why am I producing a video of Tomsin? Well, I've done some installations in the past on my PS5 and I have to say Tomsin's remap mods are one of the best in the market in terms of its value, coming in at only $26.99. If you're interested to know how to install this kit on your controller and all the things about how you should be programming these buttons, stay tuned and I'll be showing you in a bit. Just as an FYI, this video is not sponsored by Tomsin. I'm just giving you my honest review of how it was to install this kit and my review after using it for a couple weeks. But with that being said, you can use this code on your screen on your Amazon link, which I'll be sharing in the description box, to get a 10% off, so why not use it? Just a bit about the remap kit itself. You will be getting these 4 programmable buttons that you will get in the kit. And with the kit, you will also have a separate back cover that you can install on your original controller. This kit will have these 4 buttons, as well as the legendary turbo mode. So in the general sense, in the standard way, you can remap any of these face buttons to any of these 4 clicks, but you can also activate the turbo feature. And what this turbo feature does is you can press and hold any of these buttons and it's going to repeatedly make these shots. That is freaking awesome. So whether you're a casual gamer who just wants to up your game, or if you're one of those competitive gamers who want to up your game, this is a must-have. Now it poses the question, how easy or how hard is it to install this kit on your PS5? Well, first and foremost, this installation was pretty straightforward and quick, but given my experience on modding my previous controllers, it was an easy process for me. But with that being said, if you have never ever opened up your controller before, you would have to do an open heart surgery. You'd have to open up the entire thing, play around with it. It is a lot of fun, but if it's your first time, it may take a while. It may frustrate you. You may break it, so don't blame me. Also, a side note that you will get this extra back cover that I already mentioned, and the quality of the back cover that you get with the kit is not the same as the original PS5 plastic. It's a bit of a different quality, bit of a different texture, but I barely even notice it when I'm holding the controller like so. I also have to let you know that while installing, though it was easy and straightforward, I found it a bit difficult to connect these 2 pieces together. So the blue faceplate and the black back cover. So it was a bit of a snug fitting, but I was able to work my way towards connecting them together. But in terms of the kit itself, the buttons have amazing feedback. Like when I'm clicking them, I can feel the clicks. I get a really gentle sound. Some models, like for example Extreme Rate, would have much firmer sounds, which many users may not like. But this is pretty gentle and I actually really like the button feedback. A lot of remap kits nowadays in the market require you to solder. So that poses the question, do you have to solder this kit? The answer is absolutely no. It is optional. If you want to solder the R3 or the L3 or the touchpad, unfortunately you would have to solder for that. But again, it's optional. I skip the soldering and I would assume most average users would want to skip the soldering process anyway, but there's a bit of a limitation. I do hope Tomsin can produce a remap kit where you can still remap these buttons to the back paddles without having to solder. So I've been using this kit for a couple days and I've faced absolutely no problem. And in terms of the battery life, I barely noticed any difference. You can grab this remap kit in 2 different colors, the black one that you see in my example, or you can also grab the white one. In the case where your controller is white, do try to get the white one, but if it's any other color but white, I would recommend you get the black one. When I first started gaming, my fingers would naturally rest on these back pedals, and accidentally I would click a couple buttons. So that used to be a bit of a problem, but after a couple hours, my fingers would naturally rest and I basically got used to it. So now I'm going to show you how to install this kit on your controller. But before you go ahead and purchase one for yourself, you have to know the version of your controller. So your controller can be 030, 040, or 050. So you can use this link. I'll leave that link in the description box. So go to that link, connect your controller to your computer, and you will know the version of your controller. So this is what Tomsin has sent over to me. It's a basic box, nothing so fancy. And I'm gonna open this up, and this is what the $27 item looks like from the inside. We have our cables, put it to the side, our cute little back pedals, the back cover, some accessories like a tweezer. This is like an absolutely legendary little accessory to have. Like, this makes life so much easier. If you've never ever opened up a PS5 controller before, this may be a bit of a lengthy process, but all you need to do is carefully follow the steps and you should be good. We're first going to take off this black faceplate. You can use your nail to snug this open, or you can even use this provided little plastic. Simply snug it inside and just open it up, just like that, on both the sides. And it's as easy as pulling it off, just like so. After this, we're gonna find two little screwdrivers at the bottom back pedals. So we're gonna insert the provided screwdriver and open this thing up. We will also take off these two bumper R1 and L1. Similarly, you can take this little pick and pop them open. You'll find two screws over there, and we're gonna open these up as well. It's important that you keep these screws well and secure. Once you open all four screws, now we can take off these two covers. A common mistake everyone makes is forgetting about one of the screws and they end up breaking up the controller. I don't want you to do that. So perhaps the most difficult step in this entire installation would be to take off these two little plates, and you're not going to be able to do it because you have these two locks. So what we're going to do is use our little pick and kind of snugging it inside the two pockets and being able to open it up nicely and gently to have this cover come off. And now you have the access to the battery. Now we can take off the battery, so you can just pull the battery wire and you now have the tray. And I'm going to use my screwdriver to open up the screw that's sitting on the battery tray. I'll just put the zoom in right there. And we also have that little ribbon cable, and you can just use your fingernails to pull it open like that. Sometimes this little jack might come off, but don't worry, just be gentle with it. Alright, so now you have access to the motherboard, and on this motherboard you're gonna find 1, 2, 3 blue cables and an orange cable. This is not the first time I've opened up this controller, and you can see this orange cable is kind of torn, and I think this is kind of preventing me from having access to the internal microphone, but that's okay, so I'll just completely ignore this. But in your case, you would have to pull this orange cable off. But anyway, we're gonna take off these blue cables, and I kind of find it easier to use a little plier to open this up, just like that. These ones are pretty straightforward. Once you take off all the 4 cables from underneath, use 2 of your fingers to kind of push up so this motherboard comes off and you're able to access the thumbsticks. Now, this would be a great time to take these off and replace with new thumbsticks, but anyway, this is where all the fun is gonna begin. You have the option to solder in this remap kit. If you want to remap the trackpad, you have the option to solder and remap that. I'm not gonna be showing how to solder in this tutorial because I would assume an average user would want to avoid the soldering aspect anyway, but minus the soldering, let's go on to the next step. So now let's take a look at this little cable. We're only gonna be needing this one, and that is for later. I'll keep this to the side. We have one more, which is that little piece. We are not gonna use this because we're not gonna be soldering, and there's also another little cable. I'm gonna ignore that for now, but if you do want to do the soldering and remap the trackpad as well as the R3 and L3 buttons, I suggest you take a look at Tomsin's official tutorial, but I am gonna be skipping that step for now. So essentially we have this little pretty cable. All we're gonna do with this is these two little holes are gonna sit on that little piece. So I am going to place them carefully on top, trying my best to show it on camera. All that's gonna do is just sit on top, and you just gotta make sure that the holes go through that little piece, the two little pieces right there. Once you place it like so, we're gonna put this back again. That's literally all we have to do. Carefully, you wanna make sure you pull out all the cables from all the directions. You don't wanna catch anything. In that type of scenario, you can always take a little piece and kind of just make space, just like that. Push it inside. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 cables, and make sure it's nicely fit. We're now ready to put them back again. And as you know, this one's kind of damaged, so I really can't do anything about this cable, but you'd have to stick that as well. Now you have the battery tray. This battery tray is also gonna go right there. Take one of your screws and screw the battery tray onto the motherboard. Next, we're gonna take the battery. The battery is gonna connect to this little pocket. Place the battery on the tray, and this little remap cable is gonna stick to the battery. So you're gonna notice this little white non-stick piece, and this little adhesive is gonna stick to the battery. So just fold it over. Just like that. Oh, I can't forget about this little jack that kind of came out in the beginning. So always don't forget to reinstall these little pieces back inside. So all we're gonna do is just place it on top like so. And this little ribbon is gonna fit into that little white pocket. Press firmly and just make sure it stays. Let's now put the controller to the side and focus on the back pedals. These are the clicky buttons that you're gonna use for your remap kit. I'm gonna take my little plastic, snug it inside this little hole, and kind of snap them two pieces open. So just like, oops, I kind of broke the little plastic. Ooh la la, whatever, but this is fine. All right, we'll leave this to the side. But we have these two pieces. Thank God they're fine. Be gentle with them. I'm trying to rush a little bit. I shouldn't do that. But here we have our little screw pack as well. These screws are not all identical. As you can see, some of them are silver. The silver ones are basically extra. But we also have two thin pieces. I'll try to differentiate them. Basically, they're not all the same size. Some of them are a little tiny. The tiny ones are for later. And I'll leave these for now because we're gonna need them for this step. Here is our back pedal. It's pretty much almost the same quality as the original. It's a little grippy, I would say, a bit rubbery, but let's save the review for another video. But now let's flip this over. And this is how our little piece is gonna sit. Kind of naturally sits. But what we gotta do is take one of the screws, pass them through the hole, and just get started with one, and it's gonna be easier to work with the rest. Once you've attached these here, we're gonna attach this remappable back paddle to the controller and pass this little ribbon through that little gap. Just like that. The biggest trick with trying to installing this back cover is to kind of start from the front and then work your way backwards as you look at these locks. So just working your way from the front and just making sure both the sides are nice and flush. I have to tell you from the start, the original sticks to it flawlessly. This one is not as flawless. So with this remappable back paddle, you have to do a bit of work around and just get your snug fit properly, because it's not gonna go down the first time. So you do have to play around a little bit. Now with this little ribbon case sticking out, we're gonna take our little board, and all we're gonna do is open up this gate. There's a little gate, and that ribbon is gonna go inside that gate, and you can just close that gate, and that is basically it. We're gonna now use two screws, the two screws that we kept, the two little screws, and we're gonna screw this little board onto the remappable kit. You just gotta make sure that these two screws are nicely tightly fit, because if one of them is loose, you're gonna have bad clicks. You have to make sure that all four buttons are giving you clicky feedback. You should be able to hear the noise. Once you do that, you're basically done. We have this little piece, and that's just gonna stick on, just like how we opened them up. Just like that. All that's left is to take our little faceplate and stick it in, but before we do that, we have our screws that we opened up earlier. We just have to make sure we screw them back inside. Once you attach all the four screws, we're now going to attach the bumper buttons back in place. So here we have the L1 that's going to go to the left side. And pressing it. Check everything before you install everything else. Here we have the faceplate. Put the pointy areas first and work your way down. So now I'm going to show you how to remap these back paddles onto the face buttons of your PS5. So at this point, you have to first connect the controller to any machine. So I have it connected to my PC, hardwaretester.com, but you can also connect this directly to the console. So the first thing we're going to do to remap, well, first of all, these buttons have not been remapped to any of these other buttons. You can check if you've installed correctly by pressing on these buttons, and you should see the red light blinking. So you've done your installations correctly. Let's say we want to remap the P3, which is right here, the P3, to the triangle. The way we're going to do this is press and hold S and P3 together. So here's S, the standard, and P3. Let's hold them together. And you should see this red light blink. This is in the pairing mode. All you want to do is press the button you want to remap, so the triangle. Press once. This should still. And now we want to press and hold S once again. for 2 or 3 seconds, and there you go. You have just remapped the triangle to your P3. So I can show you in the PC. Here's the triangle. It's working. And here I'm going to press the P3. We can see that it has remapped pretty well. Now let's do the very same thing with P4. Now let's say I want to remap the R2, which is right here, the R2. So we can press the R2. We can see on the screen it's registering, but P4 does not have any remap. So once again, I'm going to press and hold S and P4 together and enter the pairing mode. The light is blinking. Now all we want to do is just press this once. Press and hold S. And we've just remapped the trigger to P4. So I can show you on the screen right now. You can see that it's registering. So you can apply this technique and remap any of these back pedals. Let's say you want to remove any of the remaps. Let's say you want to remove the remap on P3. So the way we're going to do it is press and hold S and P3 together. Enter the pairing mode. Now the controller is searching for a button to remap. And what we're going to do is just press and hold S without pressing any of the other buttons. And there you go. This button is no longer remapped to any of the other buttons. The same method is literally the same way with the turbo method as well. So if you want to remap the L2 to P2, we're going to do the same way. And if you want to do the turbo mode for P2, we're going to hold the T and the P2 together, enter the pairing mode, press the L2 just once, press and hold T, and we have just remapped the L2 to P2. And you can see that it's triggering like it's tap, 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 tap. In this single button, single press, it's giving you one registration. So you'd have to do this if you want to do the trigger, versus you can just press the P2 just once and it's literally spamming the P2. So you can shoot those guns endlessly. So now it's time for the moment of truth. Should you spend $26.99 on Tomsin's back pedals remap kit? I'd say this is an amazing product on the market given its value. And this can also be one of your first ever mods on your PS5, so go for it. But I do have to say that these back pedals are pretty basic and I don't complain for its price. But if you really want to up your game, you can install the Rise 4 Plus Max kit by Extreme Rate. I think you're gonna love it.